I'm struck by the many I'm struck by the many inequities in the United States and the fact that they are not being defended effectively for one reason only, that the people who are losing their rights and freedoms, for example, I just drove by 2 empty trails going up to little mounds on my drive with my wife and my dog. It's a 4-pound Pomeranian, and we have a leash. And both signs say no dogs allowed. Now, obviously, there is no desire or intention on anyone, or 99.9% of people, dog owners or otherwise, to have wild, ravenous, half-breed wolves attack cyclists and eat children. You know, that's presumably some fantasy around which they're blocked. On the other hand, human beings getting exercise in an obese country is in everyone's interest. Dogs take people out. Dogs are good for people's health in many cases. In a sick culture, they are better for people's health than the average person is, and they are being blocked in parks that I paid for, that other dog owners paid for. And an intelligent result should be a fine. If your dog causes an altercation, you will pay a $100 fine, or something along those lines. But to block all dogs is absurd. The trouble is, I have 10 seconds to go by this sign, and I do not have the money or the time to challenge this law. And in a country such as ours, where listening is a low status and underdeveloped skill, I have already tried contacting the Parks Department around being banned to fly all planes. When I bought a radio control plane, drove to a perfectly empty park, and flew the radio control plane over a marsh in which no one was within view. It did not take the Park Service more than a few minutes to drive up and tell me I could not use my parks to fly my radio control plane. Not that they had designated a park for radio control activity, but that it was banned everywhere. Every one of the park officials has seemed covertly sympathetic, and several have enjoyed the planes they were banning, asking where to buy one, etc. But it is the park's official that does not listen. So, what's a solution to this chronic malaise in a country that charges hundreds and hundreds of dollars an hour for just to sit down with you and learn the situation? Enter 10X Legal. 10X Legal aims to be a 10 times more valuable nonprofit project as follows. Students in poor countries are paid, particularly those who are dedicated, are paid a stipend for their family to learn and pass U.S. legal exams. Number one. Number two, when we have 500 or so diversified with different specialties based on the need, but a big specialty being challenging local and public government, people can petition and receive legal support for doing public good. For example, this is not just for myself, this is for dog owners all around Marin County. This is not just for myself, this is for radio control plane flyers all around Marin County. And based on availability, selected by an interest in public service, attorneys are assigned at a sustainable rate. When I say nonprofit, what I mean is if you can get a $200 attorney experience for $20 an hour, that is more helpful than the $200 an hour, with someone who's more convenient and enjoyable to talk with than the $200 attorney. I consider that a 10x experience. So, what does 10x Legal as a nonprofit look at and hope to do? Number one is allow you to represent yourself, taking 2/3 to 9/10 of the time out of it that it would normally take. So here's your experience with 10x Legal. You make a short video like this around a public concern, a short recording, a short email, whatever format you want. You can submit audio, video, etc. You identify yourself just to make sure it's not a waste of time. Just share an ID. Share the goal. Share the amount of time you're able to allocate to the issue. Share the budget that you have. And click send. So I drive by my park, I tap on 10x Legal app, I say, I want to be able to walk my dog in this park. Now here's what someone in another country, who, you know, this, I mean, I'm reading about garment fabric manufacturers who make $10 a month and have buildings that collapse on them, that are intelligent, hardworking, dedicated, family-oriented people that need a break. So here's what happens. A researcher spends 1 to 6 hours, and I think that a $20 research fee is also in order here because, well, it'll discourage frivolousness. Meaning, if it's not worth $20 to me, why are we engaging a nonprofit? It is worth $20 to me. So I click send. Could be $10, could be $20. And someone does the research. And for this, I will have a report. They called the Parks Department. They looked at the history. They got the data on the violent incidences in Marin. they did a comparison with another park system that has a workable system. They talked about why they chose that way. They gather evidence that can be used as the preliminary research and the basis for the court case. And they lodge a complaint every step of the way. This is what they do for that. So every person they talk to, they make known that there is a constituent in that area, the town, etc., that would like parks to be legal for the people using the parks with their dogs, etc. So this is what my $20 buys me from an assistant research gatherer. This is step 1, and you get a report. Complaints have been made to X, X, and X. This was the reply. This is the reason. These are the statistics. 5 people in the last 5 years have been bitten by dogs on public parks. The public park official received a lawsuit threat. They don't want to deal with it. This is the situation. Okay? Now, another bit of research can be gathered as well. And a website can be created with this report. This website compiled by XXX. This is the dates. It was compiled about this. These were the informations. This is the issue. Now, there are a couple of points now that we have as a junction in our 10X Legal, because it's really about public service. It is not about pockets and boxes that are unuseful for the typical human being. Control Philip again. And this then leads to a split-off point. One is you will be automatically linked with anyone else who's interested in the same issue. Number 2, you can have a package where they will do additional research to email people with dogs to see if they have the same issue to form a coalition. The coalition, I think, is a good start, preferable to a legal court case. So you have, number 1, an inquiry. Then you're given a junction point. You are given the numbers, the email addresses of all people contacted and their replies. This is done in an official capacity. This is put on a website. You are also given a campaign video for this is how you change things in your community. Here's how to make a video. Here's how to submit it to papers. Here are the local papers in your area. So you are given a campaign empowerment issue, opportunity. Now you have the opportunity to either pursue just a campaign, to pursue a coalition, or pursue a legal case. Now, at this point, there would be another $10 or $20 to have a legal, someone who has taken all the courses on U.S. law to review the most effective strategy that would change this law in public interest in the absence of cooperation from the parks. Now, by the way, once they get used to being sued every week, they are going to seek coalition participation. They're not going to hang up on people like they did to me. They're not going to dodge the issue. And these go up dramatically when these empower you to self-represent. Now, what 10X Legal does is, first of all, it has a series of more than 120 videos that walk you step by step through different legal procedures. This is free. This is made one time. It's for use. If you use the app, it's free. You have the ability to join and fund other cases. So you can do a zip, see all the lawsuits by individual citizens representing themselves, and you can fund other people who are dealing with this. I'm going to donate 10 to so-and-so, 20 to so-and-so, this and that and the other, and you can get results. So you have the opportunity to ask. You have several protocols for raising money, including Indiegogo and various existing platforms, but also on the app. Email all the friends. Email the people on the campaign. We are raising X amount of money to see that dogs with leashes, who have been vetted, if that's a process, we're going to have a voluntary vetting system where 5 people with high reputations in dogs, you can take your dog to them. If they consider your dog well trained enough, you automatically get a pass. If not, you get options to take courses and stuff to train your dog or whatever it is. So what this is basically doing is returning power to individuals by lowering costs, which brings scale into this amount of time and budget, by forming allies, by holding public officials accountable, and by providing legal counseling and coaching. Then what 10X Legal does at a rate of $20 an hour is prepare legal documents and walk you through. So at $20 an hour, you have a case person who has your case where you say, this happened, what do I do now? This happened, what do I do now? And they fill out your briefs. They fill out the paperwork step by step by step. They guide you 3 steps in advance, step by step by step. And at the end of this, you have been walked through a legal process representing yourself. Now, why might you want to represent yourself? Number one, you are the person affected. You have more emotional impact. Number two, by the time you accurately explain the issue to an attorney, in many cases it takes less time for all the back and forth with your attorney than just showing up in court. And thirdly, when you've got on-call support, where you can ask for a recess if anything comes up and say, I would ask like a 10-minute recess to check with my advisor about this. And you can go and call and get this, should I do this, this, and this, and then come back. It's easier, it's cheaper, it's more accountable, it's more empowering. And it's time that our governments are accountable to individuals who actually are experiencing the policies firsthand. 10X Legal, here's what is required to form it. It requires $50,000 and a 5-year vision to turn 10X Legal into a real growing political force. And at $20 an hour, the gap between the $5 an hour needed to pay someone a good wage in a Bangladesh or in India or somewhere, because we're going to target the most poor people who need that $5 an hour immediately to alleviate stress. We're going to target those communities, and it's a 5-year plan of education, learning, and it starts immediately. You can have a trainee either for free or at half cost. This is the training program, so they're getting paid a stipend and they're learning and they're being evaluated for their skill in the arena. We want to find people with this talent. And so that money then goes back out. 2/3 of the money goes back out to scout, to find what is the new poor region that needs emergency money, to start a 5-year process of funding them to the point that where they are top-notch lawyers that actually care about the issues and their clients.